Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the EP.IC Podcast. In today's episode, we are getting a glimpse into the world of socially conscious businesses. And today's guest really has an amazing story where she built an entire career on producing media for over a decade. And now she's producing quality fashion items while supporting the community. For example, one of the many initiatives that I've really taken note of was that there was hand embroidered fashion items by women from the local community in Jaipur, India, where profits from the collection were channeled to shelters and safe havens for children of sex workers. You know, this is just one of the initiatives that she has worked on and started. So my question really is about how does one build up a business for good and a community for good, or even better? Our guest today is Maggie Dumra, founder of Jaedals, and she joins the podcast. Welcome to the podcast, Maggie.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks so much for coming down. I mean, it's when we talked about this, I found that your story was really very interesting because, as I said earlier in the introduction, you start off from production, and then the world of production is something cushy, and now all of a sudden you're going into starting a business of your own. Plus, you want to do good. But before we dive into that story, I mean, tell me a little bit more about Jaedals.
Okay, Jaedals is a social conscious footwear brand. Started 4 years ago. I found a missing gap in the market where there was like just sandals, but they're not groovy enough, they're not comfortable enough, and that's where I decided to design these tracky sandals that are more fashionable, where people can kind of walk on them and be comfortable and take them for travels and holiday and still look cute. And the social conscious part is because I always want to do something good with my business or anything that I do. So that's where I decided to create a social impact with my business.
I see. And it's not your first foray into the business, is it?
No, it's not. I've done many, many businesses.
Okay, so again, it's not your first rodeo. And
Yes.
I love the fact that, again, first of all, let's talk about your corporate jobs right now.
Okay.
Again, many, many years in production. What kind of sparked the idea of getting into doing socially conscious a business? Or did you do something else before that?
So it's interesting. I studied film when I was young, and then I decided to join advertising, and I was a creative producer for big agencies for 20 years. So handling commercials, content creation. So that was my life. And then when I first had my first child, I decided that it's time for me to take a step back and spend more time with my children, or at least my first child. Now that I have two kids, and I just thought of creating something that is on my own, and also I wanted to leave a legacy behind for my kids to see and to have.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how it started, and I started first and foremost fashion, because I always have the passion for fashion. And I decided that while I was still working in my corporate, I decided to do some like classes and sewing classes to upgrade myself with some skills so that I can get into a business that I actually know the actual production of it.
I see. How did you even manage the time, I have to ask? Because in the world of production, it's 24/7 on call. You're constantly doing things. How'd you carve out the time?
I think I have ADHD.
Okay. You're not the first one to say that.
I self-diagnose it because I think I just can't sit still. And I like to do a lot of things. So with my corporate media production side of things, when I decided that I wanted to start my own business, I started to slowly take a step back and take a less heavy role, and also do freelance work instead of going into a full-time job. And that's where I start balancing my time with my child and learning how to sew, as well as do a bit of freelance work for content creation and advertising.
Oh, okay. So you're kind of balancing the business with some freelance at the same time.
Yes,
Oh, I see. And okay. So that explains the money side of things and of how we're trying to, well, make ends meet. Lah. You
Yeah.
know, we were joking off air, really, from a cushy life of production. Now we're going into this life of pain and poverty of starting your own business.
Yes. I don't know, call it foolish or what, but yeah, you started off with this whole idea of wanting to start a business, and then you think, okay, I'm gonna be able to kind of control my time, not like in a corporate job where you have to go into a meeting at a certain time, but then you realize running a business is 24/7.
Yeah.
You just don't stop.
It consumes you, if you don't
Correct,
put the
correct.
right guardrails up, yeah?
Exactly. So then when I started my first apparel resort wear, I just wanted to do something different, do something good. I mean, there are so many brands out there and products out there, but it just feels like if I start a business, it's another business, it's another product, it's another brand. But how can I do good? And besides having ADHD, I also have a lot of empathy. I think it's just natural in me to feel for people. And with that, when I started a business, my apparel business, I thought, let's do something good and give back through my business. And that's how it started with my apparel brand, Baby Boo. I kind of ran it on my own, one-woman show, and it was tough, but it was really a learning curve for me to kind of learn from every aspect of the business, from marketing to product design to manufacturing and customer service to website development. It's just everything on your own, right? And then, of course, it was doing well. We expanded from kids wear to adults wear, and then COVID came and everything kind of impacted, and impacted everyone as well. And I was like, okay, we needed to start looking inwards locally in Singapore to produce things. And how can I do that? So with my Baby Boo business, I wanted to be socially conscious and try to do some good by giving back. As we produce our apparels in India, I wanted to give back to India. Kind of want to spin that cycle of happiness, I take from India, I give back to India. So we supported a shelter home called New Light India, where they take in children left behind by sex workers, which is what you mentioned just now, and we donate a percentage of our profit to them to support them and to help them. And then, of course, when I said COVID came, it impacted us. We couldn't travel and produce and manufacture overseas, so we had to look locally, and I started looking how to help people locally in Singapore instead of looking outwards, right? And so I identified a few social enterprises and charity organizations, and I started looking at low-income families, women that are that kind of have like financial difficulties. And so I started to identify these organizations and identify these women with sewing skills and interest in sewing, and I started training them to sew our products. And that's where our sandals came in. So right after COVID, when I started a little small community of women that I can work with closely to produce the product, I found these sandals that I felt that I could produce them locally here in Singapore, and I started working with them to sew their sandals. So we gave them sewing machine, I taught them the skills, and they can sew from their house, and while doing that, they can look after their children. And that's the birth of Jaedals.
Oh.
Yeah.
Would you introduce these wonderful products in front of us too?
Sure. So these are Jaedals. They are basically tracky sandals, but cute and stylish. They come with arch support, anti-slip, and as 3 adjustable straps. And they are water friendly, and most importantly, they are very comfortable and lightweight. So when I started designing these sandals, I was like working very closely with all the low-income women that we were working with to kind of strike a balance of not just like, I'm not trying to create a factory in Singapore. I worked out long enough to find to build an ecosystem where I can identify certain work and collections that we are dropping to give it to them to work on our sandals without overwhelming them, while we produce the rest of our sandals overseas. Yeah.
I see. So for those that are like a bit more exclusive, you know where the proceeds are going to. Those are limited run.
Yeah.
And that's where you get these special project teams, I would say.
Correct.
To come in and you give them the opportunity to also be part of that in
Correct.
that sense. Okay, I mean, that's really good. I also want to kind of find out, how does one find these sewing communities? Is there like a Facebook group that you go to or something?
Oh my God, there's so much research done. You have no idea. We have done so much research and trying to just cold call social enterprises, charity organization. You get a lot of rejections. First thing first is just to identify which organization and enterprises are supportive of this and have that community that you are looking for. And of course, you'll be asking me like, why these particular communities? There's so many concerns and issues out there. There are medically disadvantaged individuals or victims of abuse, domestic violence, and underprivileged families. But I chose low-income women or low-income families because as a mother of two, I'm a working mom, and I feel like when I work, I need to look after my children, and also we are fortunate enough to have a partner that supports what we do as well. But there are a lot of women out there that are, they don't have the financial support, as well as they don't have a partner that can do things together with them as a family unit, right? So I feel a lot for these women, and that's how I identify these enterprises that support these women, and then I go in and start teaching them and giving them the machines and
Wow.
empower them.
Okay. I wanted to ask as well, when you do things like that, I mean, we are here in Singapore. So first thing is always, can we rely on the government in that sense to be able to support these initiatives? Is there something that you're able to reach out to them and actually do something right now?
To be honest, I should. I have not.
Oops.
Only
Okay,
because I feel like our numbers are still quite small, right? When I started this, of course, there's a vision of trying to impact as many people as possible, but it takes time. And we are working with a group of people that are having a lot of complicated backgrounds. So it's not an easy task to say, okay, let's work with underprivileged families or underprivileged women, because when you teach them, they drop out.
That's the reality of it.
That's the reality of it, because they got back into a system that they are used to, or they are back into a support that, or they are back into something that they are doing that they shouldn't be. And so we end up teaching them, giving them the skills, and then we have to move the machine around, and then we have to reteach new candidates, and it's a process, right? And with that, it already takes up a lot of time besides just running the business,
Right.
So usually with grants and stuff, we can look at it, but it takes a lot of like proving and time and the number of people you're
to jump through.
The number of people that you're impacting. We are impacting right now a few people, a handful, but it's not in a truckload, not a lot of people. So it takes time, and I think at some point I will be looking at grants for sure. But it needs to be a bigger number for sure.
Yeah. Okay. And that comes with the growth of the business. That also comes with more support from the community and the way that we market the business. So whoever is watching or listening out there, please do check out Jaedals, because at the end of the day, we're all talking about impact here. So whether it's big, whether it's small, it's still doing something. So do check it out. Link is in the bio. You can find it. All right. Take a look at what they're doing. Support them, because that creates job opportunities, and also it creates the opportunity for her to go and engage this community to help, right, and give them a better life, possibly. All right. And that being said as well, what do you think the biggest hurdles are for you when it comes to finding corporate partnerships in trying to get this particular initiative going?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of financial institute that are giving out grants, and so we are starting to look out for all this support from these financial institutes and applying for grants as well. Uh, as we speak this morning, I just got rejected by one. So
Okay.
it's fine. It doesn't bother me because the it's not everything that will go your way every time, right? Life is full of rejections at times, but there are big wins and small wins as well. It's about timing as well. So if there's not one, but there will be another opportunity for us to try. But we don't stop trying because we see how we have impacted the last 4 years, these women that we have been helping. Some of them that have like 4 or 5 children living in a one bedroom flat, that we saw how our additional work that they can work from home to look after their children has impacted them, and they are so happy and proud about the work that they do. You know, it's dignified, flexible work opportunities.
Right.
This whole social conscious creating an impact. It's not a sprint. It's not a short game. It's a long game.
Yeah.
And at some point, I hope that my vision is to create more opportunities for more women. That comes with demand. So more sandals sold. We are expanding overseas as well. So with that in mind, we are hoping to drop more like collections that we can engage these women to do work with. I design all my sandals in Singapore with them, and I can see the change in them. So for the last 4 years, we're trying to do good with our sandals, right? And trying to support these women. And I'm so happy to say that the latest partnership that we have was with New Life Stories, and they are supporting incarcerated women,
Okay.
as well as caregivers. So there is a new project that we're launching literally end of this month with an apparel brand where 2 good brands are coming together to produce a limited collection of sandals. So when I say 2 good brands, they are slow fashion. They use dead stocks from factories to produce whatever is left behind from the factories to produce apparels, right? And we use their dead stock to put it on our footwear. Yeah, so it's sustainable, and we work with all this. We work with New Life Stories to do this first project together, where your sandals is hand sewn by women and caregivers of these communities, and it's also fabrics that are left behind in the factory where no one wants it, but it becomes something good.
Is this also based in Singapore, or is this the one?
This is based in Singapore, so it's
Wow.
2 local Singaporean brands.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so look out for it. It's launching on the 29th of August.
Oh, by the time this podcast comes out, it's already out. So
Yeah.
they should already be looking at it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. And then I'm really happy to definitely explore this further. You know, how more of these partnerships can actually be developed as you go along, as the brand grows bigger, more partnerships, media coverage gets better as well. I really hope and wish for the best for you.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Go for it.
Yeah, when it comes to this altruism, you know, wanting to do good, I mean, I don't think it's got anything to do with your ADHD or your empathy, but was your upbringing or your family life, you know, something close to that? Did you do a lot of charity work when you were younger with your parents or something?
I think it stems from, like, my mom always instilled that motto of how we lead our life, and is to be kind, to do good. And I think that is something that I want my children to see as well, so that if ever they take over my business or they decide to start their own business, they can include this part of me into their business, which is do good and be kind.
Right.
So I think yes, the family has got to do a lot to do with how the upbringing and teaching me of trying to be good, be kind to others. But I think just deep down in me, I have a lot of empathy.
Mm.
Like I said, you can tell me a story and I'll start crying. So so I feel a lot for people very quickly, and to be able to see a transformation of the people that I'm helping just makes me feel good,
Yeah.
you know?
Now, I'm gonna be take the contrarian approach on that one as well, which is with all the empathy. Does that kind of also detract from being a good business owner sometimes?
No.
Really?
I feel like it shouldn't be it shouldn't be distracting you.
Mm-hmm.
You're I'm running a business and I want to be commercially successful and I want to be socially responsible. It doesn't have to be either or. I feel like when I'm trying to do good, it, that's one side of the business. The other side of business is how could I make profit and how could I sell more shoes.
Mm.
So they are very different things. But if I combine them together, it's just like a beautiful explosion of amazingness, you know? I just don't feel like, oh, if because I'm focusing on trying to do good and give back through my business, that means I might not be making money. No, because they're two different things that can be incorporated into one.
I mean, that's really good. I mean, it's refreshing to hear that. That's for sure. Because a lot of the time, these discussions that I have with quite a number of people, and sometimes being too empathetic can end up, taking the sides of that individual and losing sight of the big picture. So you have the ability to compartmentalize and really stay focused on these things.
It also depends on the individual founder or entrepreneur, right? How aggressive you are. Like you can start a business and say, I want to IPO it by a certain time, or, I want to have it world domination by next year. And in the meantime, while you're earning tons of profits, you're not doing anything else to impact or socially help someone or socially impact any communities or anything at all. But I just feel like for me, it's just I want to do good for my business. It's not just let's make more money.
Right. How do you think this journey of yours, like from again the production side of things to now starting your own business, where do you think this journey is taking you?
For me, I've personally done a lot of businesses since when I was 21. I just maybe because my dad was a business owner, so I learned a lot from him on running a business, and I see how he did his business and how he failed, and that I would not repeat what he did when he ran his business. He ran a long 30 years of old school um, advertising business, doing signages and stuff. But I saw that as I grew up, and I was part of the business. I helped him, but I just see that every part of me learning from when I was young to me starting film to me joining corporate in an advertising world, there is always learning points. It's a journey. There's no wrong or right, but it's a journey that I picked up and I learned, and I constantly improve myself through all these experiences. And taking a step into entrepreneurship was just something that was very natural for me because, like I said, at 21, I already started my few businesses and I kind of failed, start again, because every time when I fail and I start, I learn not to make the same mistake that I made the
Right.
last time round.
So I'm assuming that, let's say, for example, the age of 14, you were already helping your father
Yeah.
in the work.
Yeah.
And one thing I picked up from you was that you saw the mistakes that were made. No, at the age of 14, what are the mistakes that you're actually spotting though? I'm ignorant. So at the age of 14, I was daft as a bag of rocks. So you gotta enlighten me here.
Yeah, so at 14, I was helping him running errands at work while during my school holidays, right? But it's not just at 14, but throughout the years where he was still running a business, and I graduated and I went into corporate. He was still running the business, but I saw business has been declining, and his work is just not doing well. And he was aging as well. And he was entering a new era where there was social media,
Digital
advertising, and he was just redundant in that space of his. So I learned it not just at 14, but throughout the years where I see him running the business, I've realized that he was stuck in his old ways, and he was never improving and trying to be better and different.
Right.
So that was something that I picked up very strongly, that I will never repeat in my business, is that I often challenge myself to try new things.
Okay.
And like answering your question to how this journey will take me to, it's just something that when I go through my corporate, I learn marketing. So now we all know that running a business requires so much marketing, right? That is actually valuable for me as well. You know, I am so comfortable doing it, creating content for my business, strategizing how to market my products. That is not uncomfortable. It is comfortable because I spent 20 years doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's making you uncomfortable now, though? Apart from sitting here with me.
What is growing. Yeah. Growing is making me uncomfortable, but that's lovely. I actually enjoy this uncomfortable feeling, because every time I feel uncomfortable, it's a challenge. And I feel like I need to tackle this challenge and then move on with another. The growing and expanding, it's a next step that I'm in, where we are going to go overseas and try to market our sandals in different parts of the world.
Right. I mean, internally, your team has to grow as well.
Yes.
How big's the team now, by the way?
Right now, we have 2 full-timers and 2 freelance and 6 part-timers. Yeah. Because we run a store as well. So we have a physical store in Mandarin Gallery. So we requires part-time staff,
right,
to help us with our sales and stuff. So, but the team is growing. I mean, coming from me 10 years ago, just me and myself. Now it's like it feels real, like I'm running a proper business.
Yeah.
You know?
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Because right now, as a one-man show or one-woman show, then you're like, okay, when is this ever going to take off?
Yeah. it always feels like you're just doing everything, right?
Yep.
And whoever you try to get help from is always temporary. It's not just full-time. So right now I'm getting full-timers, and it feels a bit more real.
Yeah, I know what you mean. When you first start out, right, it's always you're in the business.
Yeah.
At what point in time can you be on the business? I mean, I
Correct.
wake up in the morning as well. I'm like, okay, when is it like, okay, what am I doing with things? When am I going to like not just use my existing skill sets for my own personal revenue, but when, is my business idea good enough for me to build a team around? Is it there? So all these questions come in, and one thing I would want to pick up from you on a personal level is you've allowed businesses to grow and you let go of them. You grow them, you let go of them. How do you come to terms with those things that you can just you have to bring it to the back of the barn and shoot in the head?
It's tough, for all the businesses that I've tried. They will come to a point you realize it's just not working out.
Okay, can you give me one example of that?
Okay.
I want to hear whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, basically.
Okay, so when I was living in Hong Kong, and I lived in Hong Kong for 6 years, I started this business, which is, and it's kind of just fell on me like accidental. It wasn't something that I was like, okay, I'm waking up to do this, and I want to grow it into a business. I started making terrariums. And this was 15 years ago.
It was still a thing.
It was a thing, right? 15 years ago, I was the first few to make a terrarium in my house.
Okay.
For fun. And then I realized we're always having guests coming over to our place, and then they all loved it, and they said, can I buy it from you? And I was just like, okay, people are buying this. that means there's a market for it. So I started making more. And my terrarium was very different because I created a story inside the terrarium. So I got all these mini scale train model people
Oh,
that I create stories where there's a rave party, there's a robbery in the park, or there's someone flashing. So there's all these strange, fun stories that I create in the jar with mosses and plants in it, that you put them as a decorative piece in the house.
my goodness. You're reminding me of this film that I watched a while back called Stop Motion. Not sure if you've seen it, whether you're a horror buff or not. But,
No.
it's a movie called Stop Motion. It's something like that, but it's but it's not the terrarium. It's just using all these odd creatures and making stop motion characters. So it's kind of sounds like a novelty to an extent. And you're right. It is an interesting idea.
Yeah, it is an interesting idea.
Why did you not continue it? This one you have to tell me.
So I started making them. First of all, it's just me, and it's a heavy handcrafted work. It's just on me, and suddenly I'm just sitting the whole day making bottles and bottles of terrariums. And I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. But after a while, you just be like, you still need to run the business, manage inventory, customers inquire, deliver. Okay. Then we started collaborating with retailers, and like we had window displays of our like terrariums. People are engaging us for their wedding centerpiece.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it becomes like a thing, right? Then I realized this business can't be scaled.
Because it's you based on your own thoughts, based on your own concepts.
And also delivery. It started to dawn on me that this business can't be scaled only when there was a lot of Taiwanese and Japanese tourists that wanted to, they loved the product, they wanted to bring home and from Hong Kong, but they couldn't. And then big companies from overseas were looking for like bulk orders to ship to them, and I couldn't, because the reality is, if there wasn't story in the jar, it was easy.
Yeah.
But once, and also plus not just that, plus the fact that it's just like landscaping in a jar, right?
Yeah.
You can't get a DHL to just dump it and then throw it and hope to God that it arrives in one piece in a certain way
Right.
when you receive it, right? So I was just, there's no way for me to deliver this at all. I literally, anyone who ordered this, I had to get someone to hand carry it, like put it nicely in the van, drive it, and no accident, no bumps on the road. How would you ever be able to grow this and send it overseas to Japan and to Taiwan?
Yeah. So if you juxtapose this to today's context, right? No way in hell are you gonna get same day delivery.
Yeah, no, not at all. And also the delivery will be so expensive if you want every piece to be handled with care.
Right.
And that's just not sustainable
It's true.
as a business.
Yeah, you're right. So do you really think that this kind of like custom businesses of like one of one type of pieces, right? Cannot be scaled at all? Is it really possible? Is that really the case?
You could, then you have to kind of start training people and creating them in those countries that you want to build, and then they deliver it on set. But it's still the delivery part was just the most painful part. It's a nightmare, and I was just like, you know what, I'm done.
Wow. How long were you doing that, by the way?
For a year and a half.
1.5 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was really good. Like, it was perfect. I started another business, not business, but like a philanthropy project in Melbourne when I was living in Melbourne, where we were doing art jamming. Again, learning from that, it was just like, very creative work, but not sustainable as well. Where we do art jamming, pop-up art jamming in different parts of Melbourne, and it was very Melbourne vibes, right? We'll put it on the website. You can book a few slots, and we'll reveal the location last minute so that you get surprised.
Wow.
And that was really fun. We would just come in with a van full of easels, canvases, and racks of paint, and then you can art jam in a graffiti alleyway or at the rooftop bar in some buildings or at the by the Yarra River. So we're just doing that. But every weekend, it's just me and my husband helping me collecting the van, loading up the stuff, setting it up, paint finish, bring it back home, wash the brushes, do everything ourselves. And we got so much traction. Time Out featured us, all the big magazine featured us because it was such an interesting idea. But I couldn't see it. Everyone was like, why don't you bring it to Singapore? We had such a huge community of volunteers that was in Melbourne that was coming to help us. It was just because a lot of them just loved the idea and wanted to hang out and meet more people. But I don't know whether it works in the Asian context because, again, there will be people like asking, how much are you paying me and stuff like that. It's not enough to pay because the amount of work that we involve, we're just charging like what, $30 and you bring home an art piece.
Right.
So
you're basically swallowing all the costs, to be honest.
Correct.
Right?
Just that cost itself is just to rent a van and picked up all the like wash, take all that. It's very little. So I decided that by the end of the year, because I had my media background, every time someone finished a painting, I would interview them and film them and ask them why they painted what they painted, right? And you'll be surprised that you are by the river painting, but someone will paint their dog. Or not just the view. They might paint something that is they felt at that moment they wanted to paint, right? And then we'll interview them, we have footage of them, and I typically from my marketing background, I'll ask them to sign a talent agreement, and I'll get all the details from them. And I realized, hey, I've got all these people that have like 400 painters, details. So I started calling everyone and asked them to bring back their artwork and donate back to me.
Oh.
So they paid for the artwork. They donated back to me after a year. And then I worked with IKEA to set up a finale where they donated like 50 clothes rack, and we went into this warehouse in a convent, and we got like 20 volunteers, and we got all the 300 plus paintings, and re-invited back those people who donated the paintings, they and their families and friends, to come back to this one night event.
Wow.
To auction back the money, to auction back the painting, or to buy other people's painting.
Right. And the proceeds go to?
And we collected about $5,000 to donate to Starlight Foundation, wishing a star for the make a last wish for terminally ill children.
Oh, wow.
And then I left Melbourne with a bang.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
So those are things that you thought that you can do it, and then everyone would be like, bring it to Singapore and make it happen. It's just like, I don't know. It's a tough one. It's not something that it worked magically in Melbourne.
Yeah. I think that's a good point we are bringing up, which is it depends on the culture. You really have to see whether or not they're open enough to do it, and that really that really kind of segues very nicely to the next question I want to ask you, which is if, let's say, for example, somebody in Singapore, has an idea and says, hey, or at least has an inkling saying that I want to start a socially conscious business.
Yep.
What do you think are a couple of things that could help their thinking along the way?
First thing first is you have to ask the big why. Why are you doing this? Is this a marketing checkbox that you're ticking? Or is this something that you truly, like, there is a concern or issues or something that you want to address or you want to make a change, And number two is, for certain people, they actually have lived through it. Whether is it like a domestic violence or they feel very affiliated to a certain community because of family history. So be it, right? So first look for the big why. Then followed by, how is your business structure gonna include this social impact, right? How does it work? For mine, is through sewing and through providing flexible work opportunities to low income or underprivileged women. But for some, they might be having a completely different product. So see how is that social or that community can help you, or you can help them, vice versa, right? The last tip I would like to give is that don't try to do too much for the start. Even if you're helping one person, it can change the family's trajectory. It could change someone's life, and if it's just one, and you see the fruit of it, you can help two. Then you can help three. It just keeps giving and giving, and get these people like how now I'm getting the lady that I've worked for the last 4 years to pay forward to teach more women that are like her. So paying forward is something that I also believe strongly. Like if I do good and you are receiving it, you feel good, you're doing more good. So this endless spreading of love is it's an amazing thing.
Very powerful, very, very powerful tips. And thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Now, before we end the podcast, right,
Yeah.
there's always a quick questionnaire that I always do with our guests. So this is a rapid fire one. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay, so this is Maggie Dumra with the Epic Questionnaire. One word that you love,
Change.
one word that you strongly dislike.
Slow.
What sparks joy in the work that you do?
Transforming lives, being creative, and building a brand.
What's your routine like for peak performance daily?
I love going to the gym, work out, feeling good about myself physically and mentally before I step into the office to do my work.
Sounds like gym is the best part.
Yeah. Yes, gym is the best one because once you step into the office, it's firefighting. Woohoo!
I see. What do you do when negativity or sadness hits you?
Wow. It happens a lot as an entrepreneur because this is like a roller coaster, right? You up and down. So I take some time to de-stress myself. Whether is it just a little quick massage or facial or just sitting alone on my own to think. Sometimes I find driving very therapeutic. When I drive and I put on the music, I like to think. And then it's almost like a little therapy for myself. After I get out of my drive, or even just, from a massage or even a facial or something that just makes me feel good, I feel I'm recharged again and I can kind of step away from the deep sadness and reconfigure my brain.
If you could have a conversation with one person, fictional, non-fictional, dead or alive, who would that be?
Wow, so many people that I want to talk to, but I still enjoy my daily talks with my husband. He is my inspiration, and he has always been my biggest supporter. And I will still choose to talk to him on a day-to-day basis. And in fact, because now that we have children and we become busy, but the talks are becoming shorter. But I do like to, sometimes just sit down and have long talks with him. So he's somebody that I actually enjoy talking and I would like to talk more to.
What's a phrase or quote that has left the biggest impact on you?
Dream as if you live forever, live as if you die today. And it's on my tattooed on my arm that you never stop dreaming, whether it's dreaming to run a successful business or dreaming of just helping someone and transforming lives and seeing people happy. I think dreaming is important and we shouldn't stop dreaming.
What's a harsh lesson that life has taught you?
Time. We just I lost my mom when she was 66, so she's really young. So I know time these days is as long as you're healthy and you're still surviving at 90, you're very lucky. So I think time is something that is always on my head, that you have very limited time to do a lot of things. So I'm always very wary of my time. Yeah.
What happens to your business or work after you've moved on?
Business or work when I move on to? Oh, move on like that. Okay. Well, I think I'm hoping that my children will be the one that will take over, but it's not something that I expect.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just, I think I built this to let them see the grit and the perseverance and the learnings that you get from being an entrepreneur. But I'm hoping that this business will grow into something that will be able to transform many lives and help many people as well.
Lastly, how do you want to be remembered? What's your legacy?
I would like to be remembered as the funny, engaging, stylish, kind human that you just constantly want to be around with. So yeah, that's something that I probably want people to remember me as. Yeah, kind, funny, fun, loving individual. I don't know. Never really thought hard about that, but yes.
Yeah, you spend your time on other things more important.
Yeah. Just like, ooh.
Okay, so all right. So that being said, that camera's yours, or you can use that one. Feel free to just make a shout out to whoever and what you would like them to do.
Okay. Check out Jaedals on our website, Jaedals, JAEDALS.com, or follow us on Instagram at Shop Jaedals, or come visit us at our store at Mandarin Gallery 0229.
All right. That being said, again, that was Maggie Dumra with here with us at the EP.IC Podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for watching, listening. Don't forget to leave a comment, subscribe, do whatever it is that you do. Send some positive energy toward this podcast as well as all our guests. In this case, it is Maggie Dumra from Jaedals. Okay, so that being said, we'll see you next time on the EP.IC Podcast. Bye, everyone.